I guess I'm live. It's not telling me I'm live. Well, it's telling me I'm a few minutes into being live. I don't know what was going on there, folks. I apologize for that. This doesn't even have a title because I ended up having 8 sessions of going live. I don't know. They must have changed everything again or changed it as to how I do it on this particular computer system because I couldn't even get here. But yet there were like 8 of them going live. Okay, so I think I'm live now. Um, if you're able to be in a chat and somebody shows up, it'd be nice if somebody showed up. So much changes. We are changing. Thank you, Miss Chloe. Okay, as long as I can see that people are here, thank you, Miss Chloe. Thank you, Lori. I had no clue what was happening. It had 8 different versions of me going live right now. I guess I'm going out there 8 times for the same message. I don't know what the hell's happening. Hey, Miss Shelley. Thank you, Seeker. Gosh, so frustrated when I was in the zone and then I had to deal with all the computer. Prior to getting into the meat of the matter of Edgar Cayce, I do want to talk briefly because I kept trying to plug a title in and it got weird because there were many live that I was supposed to be doing, I guess. What I wanted to talk about for a moment, let me rewind my own brain. And it will go into what we're talking about with Edgar. Beautiful stars, you lovely beings of light, you lovely wonders. So beautiful. I was going to name this Edgar Cayce Life Skill Studies number 8, because that is technically what we're doing here. But I'm doing kind of like a call to action at the beginning of this, maybe a call of action at the beginning of Friday's show, and maybe a call of action, maybe all of Sunday might be a call of action. So, if you listened to last Sunday's Akashic message, this will also resonate hopefully with you. It's interesting to learn many things, even about myself and others. So I'm going to back it up just a minute because the call of action is very apropos to what we also will be doing here with Edgar Cayce. So we're going to go back to it, and I'm going to have to keep reinforcing it. We are in 2023, folks. We're in 2023. What people might not know, even though I know I've said it here, I've said it in personal one-on-one classes, Patreon, all over the place. But I said it quite a while ago, like last summer. So why would we remember, right? Here's the deal, folks, and this is a call to action, spiritual action. Here's the deal. Your soul, my soul. When we talk about in the Edgar Cayce, the secret soul, the real reason, as Edgar would put it, as your soul has a job to do here. That was your ticket here on the planet. It's got something to do. Your soul, my soul, everybody's souls, if they knew it or not, made a commitment and decision to follow your soul's purpose back in August of 2020. I believe it was 2020. Yeah. That's why everything that actually, it was August of 2019. I take it back. I believe August of 2019. One of the two. I can't remember the years. My years are getting functified. But everyone's soul made a decision and a commitment. I knew of it. So I even like went to the extent of meeting with my higher future self and actually signing a contract with my future Cortney, right? To do the job I'm here to do. I did it. I signed that contract. I said, yep, I'm living for you, future higher self. So I was aware of it. Everybody did that. Everybody, if they know it or not, your soul said, and like the Lion's Gate of 2020. That's why so much has been transpiring since then. The Lion's Gate of that time, or was it 2019? It might have been 2019. Everything is because we made that decision, if you know it or not. What is happening though, this Lion's Gate, this August 8th, 2023, is everything's going to be going and propelling us that way for us to actually stand in that decision, in that commitment that our soul made. Stand in it. That's why we keep talking about standing in our power. Here's the thing though. So this is what the call of action, right? Because our soul's commitment is not to ourselves. We're going to learn more about it today with Edgar Cayce. It's not to ourselves. I hate to break it to you. It's not. It's for the betterment of humanity and the planet, not for you, and whatever your purpose is. Your soul made that commitment and choice and decision. It already made it. You might not know it, but it already made it. And it's by August, it's going to be asking you to follow it. Like everything that is pushing people to get to that point of, I cannot just do the mundane anymore. I can't follow other people's rules. I can't keep people pleasing. I gotta follow what I need to follow. Is going to be very, very present. This is also like in Sunday's messages, when all the people that were not aware of this, because they don't listen to Stars of the Morning Light, I kind of said it'd be like corks popping off all over the place. Because their soul already made the commitment and the choice. And the time to begin it will be August. Now it might be rocky. They don't understand why they're being so pulled. Why they are feeling crazy. Because what their soul wants and what 3D polarity has them doing are two vastly different things. Usually. So, the call to spiritual action that I'm trying to put out there to folks. A, go back and listen to Sunday's live message. The Akashic actually gave a challenge to us. It was kind of funny. They've never put it in terms like that. Of a 48-day challenge that started that day, Mother's Day, the 14th of May, for 48 days. That brings us to June 30th. All they wanted us to do was take 10-20 minutes of silence to ourselves. There's a lot of reasons why. One of it is to let go of the technology for at least 20 minutes, which I'm realizing most people actually can't do. It's very whatever. I'm realizing that. And they always have to have something going. They always have to have something in their ear going. That's not healthy. Also, because of that secret soul that we talk about with Edgar Cayce, can start communicating. Because you made a decision years ago, and it's going to come to that climax of you having to start living that decision by the beginning of August. At the same time, and I haven't even gotten to the action part yet, folks. At the same time, I want to make this very clear to people. Your karma is done. Okay? Meaning, if you so choose, this is the last of your life of any karma. We don't bring that actually with us, where we're hoping to go. Because time is actually precious, and we're kind of running a little bit out of time as to having more people out of fear headed towards the new earth, opposed to people still believing the 3D narrative, right? And creating it because they don't know their power. So, karma, to tell you the truth, guys, is actually done. But what we did is this is the last life of flushing it all out, right? That's why this time period, this life, has been so tremendously a lot for folks, really. It's because the residual of all of it, the residue of all of it, is to be resolved and to be taken care of and to be handled and to be purged and to heal and to find the resolve and move forward, right? That's where a lot of people are at. Hence, also, why in the next few months it's going to be a lot of that for folks. The resolve of the karma, and it's going to be like, why is everything happening all at once? Why is this all happening at once? That's not going to stop. Because we can't take it with us, because your soul made a choice and a decision to live its authentic self, the purpose why you did come, and the karma is usually what prevents it. So the debt has been paid. The residual, the resolve that needs to happen is still present. That too in itself is going to kind of collide with people going, I can't do this anymore, I can't do this anymore. The call of action, folks, is for them, because you're not here for you. You're here for humanity. You're here for the earth. You're here for the collective, right? What I learned this past year is, thank goodness that us humans, the majority, have learned cause and effect. That blessing that we at least got that far, that we have learned cause and effect, right? What's interesting in that is that people are still not aware that their actions affect others, as if cause and effect is either what we do to ourselves or what others do to us. It's very interesting that that's where people are still at. It's very interesting that people are still at very much us versus them, I'm right, you're wrong, me, mine, jealousy, greed, judgment, right? That is still very present. The call of action to people is, and it will come back up when we get into Edgar's life, is the responsibility of the 3D and opposed to the responsibility of your soul's calling. And for many people who have already started the quote-unquote awakening process, if you are even 3 years and beyond the awakening process, I'm calling you to action. I really am. Because we are going to, by the summertime, we're going to see some of our great spiritual leaders pass away because they got to come for the next round. But we're also going to see some of the charlatan rise, right? Or new spiritual leaders coming out of their caves that we don't know which end is up. What I'm asking folks, after we take care of our 48-day challenge to June 30th, what I'm asking people is, if you've been through a hearty amount of an awakening process and at least 3 years or more, it is time for you to get out of your comfort zone. That's the call. It is time for you to get out of your comfort zone. I keep referring to figuring out what is good for you and your unit, and then community, right? Because the people that have already been doing community, they are leveling up and need to level up to take care of a much bigger, broader picture, because they can see the all. But there's not enough people taking care of the community. So those who have been in an awakening process for at least, like I said, 3 years or more, it is time for you to get out of your comfort zone. It is time for you to start establishing things. Remember, we talked a lot about establishing things in 2023 to help with your soul's purpose. We did, because we learned a lot about what it was through our growth process of 2020, 2021, and 2022. We know what is needed. It is now time to start putting all of that into motion, because there's going to be a lot of people that all of a sudden, whew, the actual first wave of awakening has not truly hit yet. Are we in it? Yes, the gate fully opened mid-April. The gate fully opened mid-April. What the potential of what that looks like for humanity come August, September, October, like I said on Sunday, is chaos. If we don't have enough of the people that I know have the potential, I know actually are beautiful beings doing great things, but in a very, very low-key way. Very, very low-key. They might run a small group of meditation. They might, only serve a very few small amount. Very, very low-key, when their hearts are big enough and strong enough to handle a broader group of people. Those people, if you're listening, we need you to step up, really. It's called spiritual activism. That's the next level of ascension, by the way. If you've been going through it, the next level is spiritual activism. It's getting out into the community. It is helping others. It's not helping others on the fly, or my once a month little meeting, or my this and that. You need to get out of your comfort zone. Because the ones that, I will tell you, I started spiritual activism. I did spiritual activism hardcore between the ages of 25 and 37. And then I took the years 37, 38, and 39 for myself again. And now my scope is much bigger, much broader. And that's what I have to step into. That's my soul's calling. So I do know, and I'm referring to myself as I do during all the Edgar Cayce stuff, that for me personally, and I know people can relate to this, so for me personally, my next level is resolving what I can, because it's all coming to a head for everybody really, the last residual of the karma. So I'm clean and free. I'm good. I took care of it, because it's actually not in play, but the residual, we did start it again. So we're just loosening up all the light, or loosening up all the ends, right? We're just taking care of all of it. By the time I get through that, about mid-July, it'll be full force into what my soul is supposed to be doing, right? I'm just at a broader scale, because I already did the spiritual activism for communities, multiple communities, many communities, from the ages of 25 to 37. I'm asking you folks to do that now. So that the ones that are going to start coming through and hitting the grand awakening, you all will be the first line. You all can be the first line. People need to start standing up, getting out of their comfort zone, being there for other people in a broader, bigger sense. Mine's now bigger and broader than community. Mine, because I can see the all, is for the all. You all then will do that, but you guys are the first line. We have to be there for one another. So I'm putting that call out there. I will continue to put that call out there until we get through it, right? Until we get through it. And I know it sounds like a lot, But your soul already decided. And that's where the polarity 3D wants to mess with you, make you double-minded, make you split, make you this and that. Your soul already decided. So the more you push back against it, and you are not here for you, the more you push back against it, the harder it's going to get. So start implementing now. First, take that 48-day challenge. It'll go into June 30th. Go back and listen to Sunday's live message for taking that 10-20 minutes of just silence to oneself so you can connect with the secret self more, because the secret self wants to tell you. It's that time, folks. It really is that time. So, I wanted to get that out there, and I'm going to keep going back to it because I forgot that I had mentioned it so long ago that now I'm going to have to kind of keep reminding people over and over and over again, which is fine with me. That's fine with me. So that was my little 20-minute do call to action. Y'all got a reason why you're here. We gotta get out of our comfort zones. And the reason I say that too is because a lot of the energies, like the energies of right now, are supposed to be for us to heal. Get rid of that karma. You know, handle what needs to be handled emotionally, mentally with other beings. Heal. Everybody can heal. But 3D, because it's all attached to the collective, and the energy that they're using is the fast pace of we're going to keep you going and keep you going and keep you going so you can't even get to the healing. Don't do that to yourself. That's why the Akashic on Sunday said, hey, at least 10-20 minutes silence. Get in there, right? All to be leading to, because all in 2023 people are supposed to be doing what brings them joy. What brings you joy, as we learn in Edgar Cayce, is very linked to what is your purpose. So we all need to start implementing things, and we all need to start acknowledging that we are not here for ourselves. The degree of selfishness is staggering. It's a thing. So the card that actually came out was delight, number 19. So find your delight in those quiet moments, because it's attached to what you're supposed to be doing. But oftentimes we have to get out of our comfort zone to even begin it. 19, delight. The frequency of delight supports our capacity to create and experience feelings of intense joy and happiness. The more delight we feel, the more delight we invoke in others. That's it right there, folks. We actually are not here for us, but taking care of us is what takes care of others, because all is connected. So if you are living your joy, if you know what delight is for you, to the experience of feeling joy and happiness, if you know what that is for you, you have to start living it, because that invokes it in others, and then others will start living it, and that heals the planet, because our vibes are up naturally then. Our frequencies are higher naturally then. And what you do find delight in is very much close to why you're here. And there is no separation. There is no separation. So you taking care of you. Every day, 20 minutes, get with you. To know what you either need to heal, let go of, and what brings you delight. It is a time. And then post June 30th, I'm going to keep saying it. You have to start living it. You have to. You have to. You have to, or we're... You have to. like, it's a must, folks. It's a must. Unless you know, it's a must. It's just a must. You don't. I'm not even going to say, like... I'm not going to say that, you know, with something like this, I often like, do whatever you want. Human free will. Do whatever you want. No, I'm literally not saying that anymore. At least about this particular thing. Those that know, it's now time to do. And those that who have been doing, there's much more doing to be done. That's what I'm saying, and it really is a must, because it's not about us. It's not about just our individual self. You're the best tool. You're the best, most precious to get the job done. That's why your soul is here. So you got to take care of yourself. You got to start living that delight. But that then goes out to the world. So it's really actually not about you. Isn't that interesting? So, into Edgar Cayce. Love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And I'm going to probably have to keep bringing that up. Because you know what? Your soul made a choice. And don't let yourself go crazy, because 3D is trying to prevent you from doing it. It's not how we roll here at Stars of the Morning Light. And not everybody, it's not... I'm also not asking for some huge, big, grand gestures. But if you've been comfortable, because the thing is, too, is 3D is going to try to saturate you with fear and comfortability. Fear and distraction. Fear and comfortability. Fear and distraction. Do you know that that's actually, like... The two best ways to control a mass population of people? Did you know that? You guys might not know this. This is the stuff I was raised with. I was taught this at a very young age. That to control a big mass amount of people, fear, and actually they used to say entertainment. And now in our sick world today, that's just distraction of any kind. So that is how you control large groups of people. Fear and entertainment / today's world, just any form of distraction. Because to us, even if it's an argument now, it's a form of entertainment. It's very sick what we are. It's interesting. It's like we are gladiator days, but yet no one's in physical contact. It's very odd. It's very odd. So that is how you do it. And don't be a part of that. You find your delight. You live it. I'm being very strong with my words. It's because I love everyone. I love everyone. So, into Edgar. Last time we left off, oh, hey, Robert. Okay, thank you, Robert, for listening. Last time when we left off with Edgar, okay, he had made that choice. He's about 15. He leaves school. We went all through the different variations of reasons as to why. His heart totally got broken. He learned that the world really sees him as a freak. You know, all sorts of things. Grueling time period. On top of, like, his family is still so dysfunctional because his dad is just, my goodness, can't get his, life together. That he leaves school and he then started hanging out with some of the older boys to be a real man, quote unquote, or he was trying to shut all of his gifts down, and I And I put in there that I did exactly the same thing. I did exactly the same thing. And if in today's world, if I can't get to my coping and self soothing mechanisms that I normally have in place, 20 minutes a day, right, folks? Um, I do the same thing. I'll start playing cards and chasing women and drinking. I don't chase women. I'm just saying that's what he did. He thought to be a real man was to drink a bunch of whiskey, smoke a lot of cigarettes, chase women, play poker, play cards, be wild. Be a wild, wild man. At the same time, he chose to really go full force into that because he didn't want the world to see him as a freak. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy. I'm just out there being a guy, right? He didn't want the world to see him as a freak. And he also, I will tell you, any alcohol, any activity of the sort, yeah, it will shut down your abilities. People will think that it heightens them. No, man, that is untrustworthy completely. Completely untrustworthy. Um, I even disagree with some of the plant-based stuff to use on a regular basis because people think it opens them up. Completely untrustworthy. You see, there's a big difference when you're um, active, let's say active in substance, and thinking you're receiving images, downloads, ideas. Da, da. There's a big difference between that and when you're in your natural state, your heightened frequency, your natural state. Vastly big difference. Do you remember that there is the astral plane out there? What David Icke, thank God he brought it back from ancient texts and ancient stories, because we knew for many, 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 many moons that the astral plane is actually the hell plane. It's a horrible place. And what tends to happen is people use these substances and they actually, all they're doing is the astral, which is a very dangerous place, but they have a different bodily experience, a different conscious experience, so they think, oh man, this is the ticket. That is not the ticket. You're not even probably going to the right place. You're probably not even getting the right downloads. You don't know who's talking to you, you know. So I also know that depending on how much you take and consume, you can shut it down. You can shut it completely down. And that's what I did. When by the time, yeah, around so much the same age, yeah, that's what I did for quite many years. Really shut it down. And then just kept going. You know, you're like he did. You're working, you're partying, you're being just a normal human. You're not a freak. Well, that did not last as long for Cayce as it did for me. Good man. But it's because of all the stuff that was going on in his family. So Cayce's not in school. He's hanging out with the boys to the point that, hear me out, he goes out with this one guy, Tom, who was like a farmhand who was kind of traveling through from out west. He liked Tom because Tom was still rowdy, but Tom didn't actually drink like the other guys. He didn't treat the women as much like how the other guys did. He just did it differently, but he was still rowdy. He was still a real man. Edgar kind of saw him as like maybe he's just a little bit more wise. Like maybe he did all that craziness years even younger, and now he's just older. You know, so he liked hanging out with this guy Tom. They went to another town. They rode into another town to, I think, play cards. And all of a sudden, well, a fight broke out. Gunfire started happening. And as they're riding away on their horses, I mean, guys, this is horses. This is some cowboy stuff, right? As they're riding away on their horses, Edgar got shot. My God, this guy. He just keeps getting injured. Edgar got shot in the shoulder. And they drove to it. They drove. No, they rode on horses to a doctor about 5 miles away. They got the bullet out. They stitched him up. His shoulder is okay. Edgar's still alive. But after that, Tom had met a female and they kind of went off and did their own thing. One that was also from out west just visiting, so they kind of went back out west together. And Casey wanted to kind of keep being rowdy. But there was also kind of that, this is not really the life for me. I don't really know what I'm supposed to be doing. But I don't want to be a freak. You know, I want to actually, I want to be a minister still. I want, you know, I want a standard life, but the whole world is saying I can't have a standard life. So, at the same time though, it was very interesting, kind of like this overlap. And he's like 16. He's not that old. But back in when, you know, or 100 years ago, transition from young man into now, well, you're 16, you're really stepping into manhood. His father, oh my goodness, his father, I swear, his father Leslie, bad business deal. I mean, he bought a bunch of, like, I guess it's called black tobacco. And by the time he went to be able to sell it all, market had dropped big time. They were in debt like $1,800, which doesn't sound like a lot to us. 100 years ago, that's a lot. That's a pretty big chunk of change. So they had to move again. And they moved to actually his mother Carrie's family, one of their small family homes. So one of the major smaller homes. It's a very small brick building. More in Beverly, more kind of in town again. And poor Carrie. You know, Carrie did not grow up with any of this. Her family were farmers, but they were very successful farmers. She went through school. She had her personal maid. She grew up vastly different than now she's taking care of 7 kids. Because of all of the horrible business that Leslie did, he also kind of just stopped working too. I will also tell you, they put in there, I guess there wasn't a term, or the way this person wanted to write it, he had a really bad case of herpes. Sorry, that's the best way I can put it. Supposedly, how they wrote it is that Edgar would have to write all these letters to like political people, because remember he also had like a judicial position. Still, that didn't go away in this small town. So all of Leslie's appointments, affairs, this and that, Edgar had to start writing letters of like he was sick. He would put in quotations. He was sick. But what was really happening was he had gotten a venereal disease, herpes. He got herpes to the point so bad that he couldn't ride a horse. I know, that's disgusting. We can take a minute. He was in that much pain all the time because he spent his life chasing women, looking for quick, get rich schemes that put him back in debt. He's so ashamed of himself, in tons of pain, because he can't ride a horse. I mean, open sores were like all over his area, right? That he just stopped working. He just stopped even attempting. So poor Carrie, who still has a bunch of kids, the oldest, Edgar, he's only 16 years old. Hence also why they're like, yeah, you should drop out of school. Well, then get this then. Because Edgar had to work, because now he is the sole breadwinner of the family. His father is like completely now worthless. Who's also, to tell you the truth, probably just drunk all the time. Completely worthless, right? He's now 16. He has to work. So he's working more of the farm stuff still. And remember, he's also a private tracker and guide for people because he became very good at hunting rabbits. So he is trying to now support his family. On top of, he had to start taking over his father's local, like true political stuff, going to all the political meetings and kind of standing up for that line of the Cayces. I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, okay. And the whole town knows what's really going on with their dad, his dad. And poor Carrie. Poor Carrie. You know, she was not expecting any of this with life. So, he's working all sorts of things. His grandmother. So remember, he loved being with his grandparents, his grandmother and grandfather. And unfortunately, his grandfather, who was also very gifted, passed away in front of Edgar when he was 6 years old from an accident. So now Edgar, multiple different kind of accidents in his life. Now he's been shot in the shoulder. He lost a testicle from a baseball game. He had multiple head injuries, right? We've talked about that extensively in the first few episodes because I wanted to talk about the pineal gland or the pituitary gland with the pineal gland, all of it, which I'm going to pause for just a moment with that. As I talk so much in these Edgar Cayce's, at least the recent one, or the first few ones, and I would talk about the pituitary gland that takes in everything that we receive. That takes in everything that we receive. It actually is what creates not just a lot of our functions of how we see and how we learn and how we operate, but it takes in all of it. Think now why distraction. Think now why the entertainment. Because people's pituitary glands are going to be lighting up energetically. But they might not be able to use them fully if people's pineal glands are going to be, lighting up, awakening. But will they maybe be able to use them properly if their pituitary gland is bombarded with distractions and entertainment and the fight and the gladiatorship that seems to be what plays across the screen? Just think about that. 100 years later, think about that, right? Different times. Now they can do it that way, right? Because it does need to be very present. I'm a believer in that and working in a functioning way. And I will tell you, I'm very keen on who are my master teachers, very keen on who I select for that. And one of them went into emergency surgery yesterday. I'm still waiting to hear how she's doing. But they recently have been trying to teach people how to basically clear out what is being funneled into the pituitary gland and out the back of the head and neck because it's going to be bombarded with all the technology. And you do need that in more cleansed working order. We can talk about that at another time. I wanted to bring it up because that's even apropos to what we were talking about at the beginning. Our beloved true leaders, I think she'll pull through, but our true leaders, people that I learned from, people that I consider masters, which, like I said, I'm picky. They're my last two. They're all gone. So we're going to have a lot of charlatans that are coming out. Actually, we're about to talk about it here in a minute, what his grandmother says to him. We're going to have a lot of charlatans that come out, and not enough of the ones that I know their heart is ready. Their heart can take it. So, and then those like me who did the service of community for damn near at least over a decade, I'll tell you that, that we have to step into more of another leadership role. It's how it goes. It's just the cycle. It's just the cycle of things. So, it is happening. And the attack on what people, and that's for me, I love it. This is kind of a long message, I guess, so I'm just going to do Cortney's thing. I love how people continuously talk about the pineal gland and how it's been an attack on the pineal gland. Cool. We know that. But what they're really attacking is the pituitary gland, because it all filters in through the eye of as you're supposed to be in the eye of the storm, watching, not being a part of, as we talk here about as stars of the morning light a lot. It goes right through the eye, right past the ears, so everything you see, hear, experience goes right back here. Goes right back here to where it's going to be. And that filters and that creates your perception. And if that is not activated, cleansed, and healed, or even a little bit screwy, let's say, like the activation you did get hit, and it said, I'm not going to listen to this. I see past it. I see past what they're doing. I see things in my own way. I do things in my own way. I have the light within me. It's going to be bombarded to people. They're really actually doing this, guys. Because they don't need to do anything to your pituitary gland. You do that yourself by not opening it, by not knowing how, by being in the fog of 3D. This is your pituitary gland is what releases you from 3D in order to be that star consciousness. So I am a firm believer of that. And maybe at some point I'll have to go into a much bigger lesson, probably more towards the end of June. I should write that down, or somebody can remind me. I should write it down. Because it will be a thing. And I can even pull from other sources, even people that everybody is like, ooh, esoteric folks. They will talk about it as well. We did know this, that the two have to work together, right? The two actually have to work together because this is the release of the perception of 3D in order to just go, oh, well then I'm going to open right up. I'm going to not live with fear. It's a very, oh, I missed that, Teresa. Yeah, it's back, I don't have a picture in my brain anymore. It's back over here, or, whatever side I am in a mirror. And mine got all jazzed up when I was young. I talked about it in multiple episodes of Edgar Cayce, like 1, 2, and 3. So June, pituitary. Yeah, everybody's all jazzed up about the pineal. You control that. And that, it gets crusted and it's all crust of, yeah, you can still control that. Like, there's a lot of stuff you can control, but we tend to think we can't because this got all messed up. Anyways, let's go into what Edgar's grandmother says about it. There are reasons why I bring things up. So, because Edgar is doing the farm work, he is taking people through the woods and shooting rabbits, right? This is all to make money for the family. He is now the breadwinner. It all kind of started colliding into, but I want to be that rough and tumble man. I want to go, let's see, if I can start something over here. I don't really want to fight, but that's what boys do. That's what men do, right? Like, that's what you, on top of, oh, adult responsibility. You are now having to go to, county meetings and whatnot. It all started colliding, and an older gentleman actually stopped him on his way out of town to go looking for chaos, looking for trouble, seeing what an older respectable gentleman stopped him and he said, "You don't want to do that. I know who you are. You are in the church a lot. You do not want to be that guy. I know that you read the Bible constantly. You are a good person. Don't go changing." And Edgar was like, whatever, whatever, whatever. Well, before he could even get out of like the town limits, his horse just stopped. And it was actually because of a rock in the shoe. But it prevented him from going. And the next day, his grandmother called on him. She was old. Kind of now she's in the bed, kind of just bedridden. And Edgar moved in with Grandma for the last month of her life. And spent a lot of time with Grandma. While he's still working, he stopped entirely going out and playing cards and drinking whiskey. He stopped entirely doing that. He's now living with Grandma in the Cayce original home, just him and her. His mom is in this very small house that was part of the Major's property. Because, guys, think about that. They just keep moving his family around because of how shameful and messed up his father has made their life. So now she's even in a smaller place than the apartment that was behind the general store with 6 kids at home. Oh my goodness. It's frustrating because it's like, oh my goodness, you want these people to have a better life, but things happen. Not everybody does. Edgar's now with Grandma, and he gets to spend a lot of good quality time with Grandma between working and providing for his brothers and sisters and his mother. He spends a lot of quality time with her. And she mostly is telling him about the, stay the course of being the man you wanted to be. You loved the Bible. You loved the stories. You loved the community. You loved studying. You're very smart. Don't stop just because school stopped. She also, in the same loving light, which is beautiful, she would talk to him about his gifts. Now remember, this is the grandmother that was married, that was in love and married to Tom, his grandfather, who was extremely gifted. His grandfather had very impressive gifts. And she loved every minute of him. She was fully accepting of his gifts. So as Grandma's dying, this is a beautiful little story, and I'm gonna read some of it. So he's at her bed, and it says, Edgar and his grandmother discussed Edgar's dreams of becoming a pastor, but mostly they talked about the special gifts that Sarah believed the Lord had bestowed upon his grandfather and him. See, back when it was the spiritual movement, back when things were still kind of all mixed in the same pot. I remember my grandmother, who was extremely Catholic, completely denounced her family to become Catholic, to marry my grandfather, and then rode with the Catholic stuff big time because she actually was raised Protestant, and that was still an issue. Just my grandmother. she would have me do the most like occultic stuff to entertain myself, that I'd always be like, isn't this what witches do, Grandma? Shut up, just do it. Just do it. I can't entertain you anymore. Because at that time of like her growing up, and then even earlier, old ways were still very mixed, with even within Presbyterian Catholic. It didn't matter what denomination of Christian stuff was going on. It was still there. Like, I remember my grandmother at one point, all of us girls were together, her girl grandkids, and we're all doing something, and she like grabbed a bowl of water, or I can't, it's like it's hard for me to remember, but she grabbed a bowl of water and a bunch of eggs, and she had each one of us crack an egg into the water, and whatever letter the oak, the yolk of the egg would make, like if it formed an A or a J, or that was going to be the name of the man you're going to marry. That's what we did at one time. I mean, and that's just one example of, and I remember turning to her, and I'm young, and I remember turning to her going, isn't this some witchy stuff, Grandma? Isn't this like, aren't we trying to foresee the future, fortune tell? Aren't you against that? She hated me for calling her out on her stuff, by the way. I was like the least fit. I was the one grandchild who wasn't baptized. So I already had that not going for me. And then I'm the one that's like, I don't think this fits into your agenda here, lady. So, but that kind of thing happened all the time. Even back to what, for some reason, like all the herbal remedies that more of the cult people held on to, but the denominations let go of. Thank goodness it's coming back, because it's just it's just natural. Um, but at this time, a lot of that was still okay and present, especially because of the spiritualist movement. So, yeah, all that folk, Teresa just said in the comments that her grandma would all do sorts of like folk magic. That's what my grandma actually called it too. She didn't call it magic, but she said this is what the how did she put it? This is what I was raised with. This is how the old folks do it. And so for it to be my grandmother, her old folks would be more of somewhere around like Casey's parents' time, right? The old ways, exactly. The old ways. Um, so I just find that interesting. And we are, as we're talking, we move 100 years later in this discussion from his time to now this. Because this was around, what, 1893-ish or so? Yeah. So the early 1890s. Which I would have been doing that same stuff with my grandma in the, late 80s maybe. So we were still doing it. Now it's coming back even more so in hopefully a healthier old ways light. Not so much of the mystery, not so much of the, it's not really a cult. I'm sorry that word does mean mystery. None of this is a mystery. Anyways, that's my own tangent. So she was openly talking to Edgar about his gifts, because it wasn't something she felt he needed to hide. Which he needed that. He needed, his poor mother could not focus on what was going on with him because she had enough going on in her life. He needed someone that he knew that cared about him, didn't judge him, to reinforce you are a good person. You are a good person. Keep going the course. And she would say that they were gifts from the Lord. They were gifts from God. She would say, and these are her exact words, they have them in quotations, don't be afraid of it. In quotation, in the power. She was referring to the power you have. People who I'm calling to action. Don't be afraid of the power. And don't misuse it. If you hear voices, compare what they say to what Jesus says in the Bible. Then you won't go wrong. Don't be afraid and don't be proud. So of course they are Christian. But in all due respect, I get that. If you're hearing voices, if you're seeing things, if you have this gift and power that's given to you by God, well then compare it to something that you believe is good and righteous and pure. And for them it was Jesus. Same goes for us though, guys. This is why at the very beginning I was talking about if you are on substances oftentimes, you have no idea if that's the astral plane or not. And what are you comparing it to? Right? I will tell you, the more your mind and body are clear of that stuff, the more you can have discernment if it is of the positive, if it is of the light, if it is for you. Definitely. And I love the don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, 16-year-old man. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Look how wonderful your grandfather was. Look how respected your grandfather was. Be who you are. You were given this. Don't misuse it. That's the worst thing you can do, is neglect it, disregard it, or misuse it. And she did end it with, don't be proud. Don't be proud. That pride is what was getting him to go out and chase girls and the whiskey and just wanting to be a normal cowboy, be a normal boy, be a normal man. That's actually his pride. Because, I don't know if I have it with me, but when we look at the levels of consciousness chart, as many of my patrons, we've gone through this a million times, anger, or fear, anger, and pride are all right next to each other. It's our pride, if our ego gets hurt, like his heart just got broken, he just learned that the world thinks he's a freak, nothing's working out in his favor, ego gets hurt, ego gets hurt, ego gets hurt, pride then enters in and has you chasing women, drinking whiskey, not doing what you need to do, not using your gifts in a healthy, positive way. And the more he got to spend time, and it was only about a month or so with her before she passed, this is kind of right before she did, there was this lovely moment that it was a teachable moment that she would use. And I'm going to read it too. Before she had passed, she wanted Edgar to promise to look upon those he met in life's journey as adversaries who would do him harm, or adversity, sorry. She would see, okay, let me read this because I'm also trying to paraphrase because I don't want to, you know. Okay. She told him in his life journey to look at everyone that he meets as that they ask, are they going to do me harm or are they not going to do me harm? And the reason for that is she then said, because they're on a journey too. And she was trying to teach him, but as people like himself, searching for their rightful place in God's kingdom. Meaning, some people are trying to get to their rightful place, good people doing wrong things, good people doing bad things, because it's going to get them to the kingdom regardless, how they get there. Some people are just good people. That's how it works, as we were talking about karma, right? As we were talking about karma. So many times over, it's good people doing bad things. That's it. And it's for their own life journey. Same as Edgar. She was trying to say, you going out there doing whiskey and doing this and doing that, that was a part of your journey. Is it healthy? Is it right? Is it good? No. But you had to do it in order to come back home. It's the prodigal son, right? So not to judge them, but to have discernment. Then she said, the Lord's blessings were meant for everyone. A person had only to eat the fruit of the tree, and Edgar could be the instrumental in bringing that fruit to them. As if seeking a more tangible means of expressing her sentiments, the bedridden woman, wrapped in a shawl, asked Edgar to fetch a peach from one of the trees in his garden, in his grandfather's garden. So she was trying to say, everyone eats from the tree of life. Everyone eats from the tree of life, Edgar. And you that has gifts and knows about them and knows to not misuse them, that were handed to you so freely from the divine, that were handed to you, that you know what to do. As all these people are eating from the tree of life with their trials and tribulations, as we all do, because we're all trying to get to, quote unquote, as she said, God's kingdom, quote unquote, the new earth for me, higher frequency. Because you were freely given these gifts, like your grandfather, and all these people are trying to eat from the tree of life, you have a bit of an advantage to be the instrument that actually helps them feed much easier, helps them actually pick that peach much easier, to actually nourish them much easier. And then she said, go get me a peach from your grandfather's tree. And then Edgar peeled the peach and fed it to his grandmother. So he could learn what it is to serve others, truly serve others. This is why in the Bible, the whole point of washing feet, or in others, we don't need to get into that so much, but she was bringing it home with those of you that have 3 or more years of the awakening process under your belt, those of you that do have gifts, even if you only know how to use it a little bit, those of you that have the heart, you really have the heart that can withstand. She's trying to say, God made you that way, sent you here to help others as they try to feed off of the tree of life and keep not knowing what they're doing. all the trials and tribulations. You are the instrument. Be instrumental. Be instrumental in bringing that fruit to them. I'm trying not to cry, really. Trying not to cry. I will tell you, for me personally, going back to where this kind of began when we started talking about Edgar, him getting shot in the shoulder. Him getting shot in the shoulder and then having a very transition period of, okay, I'm going to end up getting shot if I keep doing this. On top of the fact of like adult responsibility coming in more play, the family definitely needing money, all sorts of things, right? And then going into the care of his grandmother telling him, you are beautifully made. Now go be that instrument for others. For me, I will tell you guys, and I think I've mentioned this before, I wasn't shot. I wasn't shot. I have had many guns in my face, but I was never actually shot. But what got me to the exact same point, I was not 16, but 100 years later, our adult levels have kind of, or ages have changed a bit, right? Gosh, I don't know how old I was turning. Right post graduation from college, which I was a complete drunk in college. I worked full time, was drunk full time, I went to school full time. I don't know how I did it. I guess you're at that age that it can happen. It was really bad though, and it was really towards the end. It was very, very bad, and I had some people living with me that were very, very bad, like actually running from the law, hiding out. I was harboring criminals. You know, it got really bad for maybe 8 months or so, and it was because I was trying to avoid a lot of things. Okay, and then it very much just got out of control, right? Just really out of control very fast. Thank goodness it actually was a very small stint in my life, right? I also started doing heavier drugs. I did heavier street drugs for, I mean, it was like I kind of dabbled, but then it was hardcore when those people were in my life for 4 months. It wasn't that long of a time period. 3 or 4 months. But I didn't get shot in the shoulder as I'm, trying to figure out life and avoiding adulthood. Because, oh man, student loans I'm staring at you, student loans. I know you're coming. Oh man, I have to go get a real adult job. Oh man, I have so much like adult, right? I wasn't exactly prepared, and I had already been drinking for many years by this point to shut everything down to handle life, quote unquote. I thought in my coping mechanisms, not the case, right? But what I did do, I was at a rock concert. I was at a concert, and me and one of the people that was living with me got into an argument. And as I was walking away or walking to, don't really remember all that much. Somehow I went to tap on somebody's shoulder, and we both fell at the same time, but his legs somehow wrapped around my foot, and so when he fell and I fell, it spun my entire left foot around. Yeah. And then I dropped to the ground. Something in my brain said, because now my foot's backwards and like hanging, something in my brain went, oh, that's not good. We need to spin it back around and hold on tight. I don't know if that was the right thing I was supposed to do or not, but that's what my brain in that moment said. That's not how your foot's supposed to be. Let's spin it back around and hold on. So clearly my left foot my left ankle, I should say, my left ankle is nothing but screws, plates, metal, titanium. I'm like the bionic woman now. It took me, I couldn't walk for quite a while, and then the amount of physical therapy was agonizing. Because you learn how to, like, go up steps when you're an infant. You're not even conscious of the motion that your foot does when you do that. I had to rewire the brain entirely. I also had to sober up. Here's the thing, too, they couldn't do surgery for like 3 days because I needed to sober up. So, as I was not able to walk, kind of like how Edgar had the month of taking care of his grandmother, he sobered up. As I was not able to walk and I'm sobering up, I kind of stopped and I went, whoa. I remember actually I was in the shower and we had to put like a yard, like, plastic seat, like a yard chair in the shower because my leg would have to hang out for me to kind of just sit there and do this. I was in the shower and all of a sudden just crying. Just, what has happened to my life? And also my ability started coming back through. Because I was sober. My abilities started coming back through and opening up to, yeah, you are avoiding the onset of adulthood, Cortney, very much so, right? That I remember in that shower when I started crying and just looking to the whole chaos and damage I had kind of created for myself. In that moment, I remember having to accept a lot of things and then going, okay, you can keep going right. As we talk a lot here on Stars of the Morning Light, we are the only beings, humans. Humans are special because we have the capacity to surprise ourselves. And in that moment I went, okay, Cortney, you've been going right. You've been going right since you were like 13. You've been going right. And you started going right big time, right? You just kept doing the same thing. Same thing over and over and over again. To the point that it wasn't insanity because I wasn't even expecting different results. I just was doing that. I was very comfortable being drunk every day. Doing that. I didn't know any different. Doing that. Right? That in that shower, I went, there might be another way. I'm going to go this way. There might be another way. I don't know what that other way looks. I don't know if I've ever even seen that other way. I don't know how that other way feels. I don't know who I would be going another way. But like how Edgar's grandmother said, don't be afraid and don't be proud. In that moment, I humbled myself and said, you know what? I deserve it. Humbled myself enough to say, yeah, I don't know this other way. I don't know how I'm going to pay those student loans. I don't know what being sober looks like. I don't remember who I am. I don't know fully about my gifts because they weren't necessarily the same as everybody else's. But I chose in that moment to stand up and for myself. You got to humble yourself to stand up for yourself. Because pride will get in the way every time. Pride will get in the way every time. And right after pride on the levels of consciousness is the courage to have the willingness to I got the willingness. Let's go another way. I got the courage. I humbled myself, got the pride out of the way. Can I do this? Let's see. I got the willingness. And that's the call of action I'm actually asking people to do. Heck, guys, I couldn't walk for months. The tears of streaming down my eyes during physical therapy because I don't have an actual ankle. Like, come on. Come on. If I can do that and then get sober and immediately start healing myself, healing, doing the work, learning about myself, learning about my gifts. I know you all can do it. I know how going constantly in the same way, complacency can be very comfortable, and the unknown is very scary. Don't be afraid and don't be proud, because it's actually not about us. When you find your delight and you live it, and we aren't afraid of who we are, our true, beloved, wonderful, complete. You are complete when we know it and we live it and we experience our delight. The greatness. You are the great I am. I am as you are. So, I've been talking quite a lot today, and it's probably because guys, it might be many a few videos, because I know we didn't even get into the secret self. I'll probably do that next time. Maybe that's how this will roll. Some just his history mixed in with my history, that kind of thing. And you know what, I want to tell everybody, yes, it's a call to action, the spiritual action. But I also want to tell everybody, I'm proud of where you are, in the sense of you're doing a great job, not in the sense of my pride gets in my own way. You all are doing a great job. You're doing a wonderful job. And know that within yourself. Know that you're doing a great job. Do things fall away? Do things come back? Do we fall down? Do we get back up? Yeah, we all learned that when we were 2. You're doing a great job. Now let's just level up a little bit. So, I'm going to let you guys go. I'm sure I will, next week I'll get into more of the secret self, because it goes into gratitude. So that's going to be a whole nother thing. But I hope you enjoyed what you got out of today. Lovely Edgar. This is why, as you can see, this is why my husband's like, yeah, you and Edgar's life, way too parallel in your journey of acceptance into empowerment, even with the little bit of doubt that is still within me, and it was still within Edgar. So doubt is not the same as fear, though. I guess I will end on that note. Doubt is not fear. It's not the same thing. Maybe we'll talk about that again later. So I love you guys. Have a wonderful time. Morgan, Cricket, I'm glad you showed up. Good to see everyone. Shelly, Teresa, Lori, you beautiful beings. Joe, I know you were in there for a little bit. Robert, I know you were listening. Chloe, I know you went to work. I thank you all so much. I really do. If you think anybody can resonate with this, or maybe needs to hear this message of hope, because it really is a message of hope, go ahead and share it out. And if you're new to Stars of Morning Light, I'm Cortney, your host here. I speak about a whole lot of stuff. I got a whole lot in this cranium of mine, this lovely brain. So, share, subscribe, enjoy, hit that like button. I'll catch you all on the flip side. We can do this. I am as you are, and you are my delight. So, let's shine, shine, shine. Later, guys.